The best time of the movie year is now here. It is the fall movie season. I am talking about 24 films today in honor of the year 2024. And the goal of this video is not to give a comprehensive list of this fall, but just to highlight 24 films that I am getting really excited about watching. I am going to have a lot of titles. I'm going to have a variation of genre. We're just going to kind of do 30 seconds on each movie. Basically, I'm just going to give one sentence, my pitch to why I'm excited for said movie. Coming in at number 24, and the reason it makes this list is because the trailer thus far has looked really good. I like the colors. I like how this film is being adapted from the Broadway play to the musical live action thus far. And I think Cynthia Erivo is a really good actress. And if she gets the opportunity to showcase Defying Gravity, I just think this movie could be really special. That is, of course, Wicked. And that's the pitch. Cynthia Erivo is a really talented actor. The director of this movie did In the Heights, a movie that I liked from a few years ago. There's just a lot that is in this film's favor that I think it is worth anticipating. Coming in at number 23, here is a movie that is definitely going to be one of the most controversial movies of the year. So controversial that we might not even get to see it this year. There is no U.S. distribution for this biopic about a certain U.S. president. This is The Apprentice, starring Sebastian Stan. And this movie follows essentially Trump's rise to power and a lot of the seedy stuff he was doing in New York at this time and the allegations of sexual misconduct that have followed him and plagued him his entire career. This is literally in legal litigation from my understanding. Trump's lawyers are trying to combat this movie. I just think a movie that is this upfront and this politically charged and is pissing off people is a film worth, at the very least, investigating and having your own opinion formed on this movie. So I'm quite curious about this movie. Coming in at 22, this is actually a weird title, and I almost want to bump it off, but I'm going to keep it in because I am a nerd deep down. And even if I can't say I'm necessarily the biggest fan of anime, I do have to give the Lord of the Rings series credit that they make good movies, and I generally enjoy what they've done. I don't know if Lord of the Rings, The War of the Rohirrim, however the hell you say that word, is going to be a good movie. However, it's Lord of the Rings. It's a mythology. It has the title war in it. It has the word war in it, I should say. Like, there's enough to get me excited and at least spark a level of curiosity from me. Coming in at 21, here is a movie that I am giving way too much of a chance to because the director does not deserve the chance, and yet I'm still intrigued, and he made quite literally my favorite movie ever made in Back to the Future, and thus Robert Zemeckis is always going to get just a slight pass from me. Maybe it's stupidity, maybe it's foolishness on my part, but you're reuniting Robert Zemeckis with Tom Hanks and Robin Wright, the team that he quite literally won the Oscar for 30 years ago with Forrest Gump. It is a movie that looks far more sentimental than anything Zemeckis has done recently. It looks like there's an actual grounded, emotional human story at the center of it, and it doesn't seem to be bogged down by Zemeckis' curiosity and wanting to play with special effects. This one looks the most grounded. I'm just hopeful, and I really hope that this cast can make Robert Zemeckis great again. Coming in at number 20, this is a trailer that just keeps stunning me every time I see it on the big screen. It's a movie that I have no clue if it's going to be good, but just based on the 3 minutes we've seen from the trailer, I think the wild robot looks naturalistic. There's a beauty, there's a calmness, there's a tranquility, and there's also the violence of nature just fully on display in it. This looks like such a softer, unique film from from DreamWorks, and I'm just curious to see how this film is going to play out on the big screen. I think at the very least, even if this movie is bad, there is a beauty to the animation that is going to be impossible to ignore. And that level of artistic integrity and style and design, I think, is going to be marvelous to watch on the biggest of big screens. Coming in at number 19, I have a Netflix film that is definitely going to be competing for the big awards this year. And it's a movie that did so well at the Cannes Film Festival earlier this year. It has critical acclaim coming out. It's got a lot of exciting actresses in it. Zoe Saldana, one of my favorites. It is a French crime, I think slightly romance comedy thriller called Amelia Perez. Did I mention it's also a musical? This movie just sounds bonkers. It sounds crazy in all the best ways possible. And I am always down to see artists just kind of push boundaries and try something with the art form. And I'm excited to see this movie, especially with all the rave reviews it's gotten thus far. Number 18. Here we go. And maybe people are going to be shocked that I have this movie this low, especially given that the film that the director directed before this quite literally got him nominated, broke him through with the Academy Awards. Really strong, solid film in All Quiet on the Western Front. So people are then probably wondering, like, wait, shouldn't Edward Berger, doesn't he deserve that to be higher on this list? And I will admit I have some hesitancy with his new film, Conclave. The reason I have an issue with Conclave is simply that it is PG. But if you're just talking about the cast, Ralph Fiennes, Stanley Tucci, that's a lot of just star power right there, up front and central. I'm curious to see what this movie is from Focus Feature and if it is a big awards player. Mind you, Ralph Fiennes has never won an Oscar before in his life. And Ralph Fiennes is one of our best actors, and whenever he's in a movie, he is deserving of recognition. Coming in at 17, kind of a complicated one right now, so I have two movies kind of in and out of this position. I'll talk the one that I had penciled down for number 17, and I had Juror Number 2, which is Clint Eastwood's newest film. He's 94. This movie stars Toni Collette, J.K. Simmons. It's what looks like to be his version of 12 Angry Men. This movie started shooting right as the writer's strike began and the SAG strikes began, and thus it was put on hold. From my understanding, this movie's done shooting, but we'll see actually if this movie does come out this year. There's been no real info on it. I still kind of think this movie's going to come out. I mean, Clint Eastwood's 94. I don't know how much longer you can wait for this movie to come out, assuming that it is finished. But it's Clint Eastwood, might be his last movie. There's a legacy and respect that I'm always going to pay to Eastwood, especially when he has this good of a cast working with him. My other one that's coming in at number 17 is, and this is really just in the case that Juror Number 2 does not make it in and doesn't get a release date this year, I have Never Let Go. This is the newest film directed by Alexandre Aja. He is a director. If you don't know who he is, you should, because in 2019, he directed a really excellent exercise of the horror thriller genre in Crawl. And he looks to be doing something similar, this time starring Halle Berry. What seems to be this woman being chased by something supernatural. This guy does really good with smaller, intimate, just thrillers that are for 90 minutes, just so exciting, so much fun to watch. This movie is one of those ones where I just feel like I'm going to go in and I'm going to have a really good time. Like, that's all I really want from this style of movie. And I think this guy in Alexandre Aja does it better than anyone else. And it's cool to see a director essentially get to level up, get a little bit bigger of a star, get a little bit more money, just has a little bit more resources at his play for this movie. That's why it's coming in at number 17. Coming in at number 16, I actually just talked about this movie on my Venice Film Festival discussion on Thursday, and I mentioned how I was a little worried about this film because it did not have U.S. distribution yet, and I was hearing mixed things pre the film's premiere. Now, at the time of this video dropping, this movie might have already premiered at Venice. However, I do know that this film did get picked up for U.S. distribution by A24. I am talking Luca Guadagnino's Queer. The reason I'm excited for this movie is, simply put, Luca Guadagnino is one of our best directors, working with a great actor in Daniel Craig. and just adding another film into the queer cinema canon of the 21st century. I think those are all things worth celebrating. And you get Luca Guadagnino again exploring relationships. I'm just all the way in on Luca, and I cannot wait to see Queer. You want to talk about A24 and star power? They have this movie coming from the director who brought them Brooklyn in 2015. You now have Andrew Garfield. You now have Florence Pugh in this story of a relationship over time. It is, we live in time. And Andrew Garfield, Florence Pugh, two of the best actors of their age. I love them. Andrew Garfield, particularly someone that I've always been excited to watch. I've always really appreciated his artwork, his just little details that he adds as an actor, his ability, his range, his comedic style, everything. I've always just kind of had like an obsession with him as an actor. I've always liked him. I've always been on his wavelength. I'm excited to see him working on a film like this, to get to show off such a natural comedic romantic chemistry that he's had in the past. Now getting to work off Florence Pugh, who's one of our best actresses. This movie just looks like a movie that I am going to cry a lot through. And that's why I'm really excited about this coming in at number 15. Coming in at number 14, I will always have a soft spot for this director. I've gotten to meet him in the past. He's a great guy from every encounter that I've had with him. And whenever Kevin Smith makes a movie, I'm always interested. And when Kevin Smith is telling a story about basically his adolescence, essentially Kevin Smith's The Fabelmans, I'm really intrigued. And that's why coming in at number 14, I have the 4:30 movie. I just love Kevin Smith. I love his style of humor, and I love when he goes smaller. I love when he doesn't really need to be plugged into his whole cinematic universe, which I have a lot of fun with. But this movie looks like a little bit something more artistically challenging for Kevin Smith, and him working with, essentially not working in his cinematic universe, using the tools that he's built over time, the comfort that he has. It feels like Kevin Smith getting a little experimental, and I love Kevin Smith when he makes these smaller indie films, and I'm so obsessed with him as a filmmaker. I'm just excited to see basically a brand new Kevin Smith movie that not connected to anything, just him telling a story about his childhood. Coming in at number 13, I don't know much about this film except the fact that in 2022, Megan Parks directed one of my favorite films in the Fallout. So thus, when I heard she is back, coming out with a new film in My Old Ass, I'm excited. Like, she's such a talented filmmaker. I think she is so good at getting just honest human interactions and emotions told through little dialogue. And what she does with the Fallout, how emotional that is, the performance that she gets out of Jenna Ortega in particular, I am just so obsessed with what she was able to do with that type of story, that take this movie in My Old Ass, get Aubrey Plaza in it, add a little bit more of a comedic tone. I just feel like Megan Park is due to just be one of our, maybe in like the next 5 to 10 years, it wouldn't shock me if she's one of our best young directors and just one of our brightest stars. And I'm ready. I've been ready to anoint her since I saw The Fallout, and I can't wait to experience another film from one of my favorite young directors. Coming in at number 12, and the reason this movie is coming in so high on this list is because I know when I see this movie in theaters, I'm going to have a great time with it. This is a movie that I'm definitely going to go see with my buddy. We're going to have a great time. We're going to scream. We're going to laugh. We're going to be just shocked and horrified by what we are seeing from Terrifier 3. That's right. I love the trajectory of these movies. You start off with a super small budget. Second movie, you get a little bit bigger. You get to be a little bit more groundbreaking and challenging in what you're trying to basically create in the mythology that you're trying to do. And then the third movie, you get to basically make a horror film with the Christmas overlay over it. That's super exciting. That's super fun to me. And just to see this budget get up and to then see not that the artistic integrity of it gets dropped or lowered, it actually looks like we're going to take this, we're going to be more experimental with the money that we made, and we're going to now actually be able to try something even more bigger and better, and just like all of that. Like, it's the funness of, it's not that the budget allows them now to cut corners. It's basically it's like we're making the same film, but with $5 million more dollars, and thus the film is going to get more insane as that happens. I'm excited for Terrifier 3 coming out in October. Coming in at number 11, this is a weird movie because still not much has come out about this movie. I know it's premiering on Netflix during the Christmas holiday. It is Wallace and Gromit: Vengeance Most Foul. The reason I'm excited for this movie, growing up, loved Wallace and Gromit. Excited to see these characters back. That's the pitch. That's why I'm excited. Aardman is such a great studio and animation. I love the way these movies look. I love the little detail that goes in. If you've ever watched the behind the scenes of how Aardman makes their films, it's kind of just spectacular to watch, and it's so entertaining. I just love all the little details. I love this humor that's brought into the Wallace and Gromit characters. I'm just looking forward to this, and I hope it's good, and I hope it's much better than Chicken Run Dawn of the Nugget was. Coming in at number 10, we're going to be talking to some WWE wrestlers right now. Simply put, I have two movies here, and this is again the case of there's one movie that I have on this list, and I don't actually know if it's going to come out, so I have the alternative ready to go. Coming in at number 10, I have The Smashing Machine, which is the latest biopic film directed by one of the Safdie brothers. I believe it's Benny Safdie, starring Dwayne The Rock Johnson. Do you know what Dwayne The Rock Johnson is cooking? Well, maybe an Oscar nomination. I hope that this is a great performance from him. I think he is a really capable actor that hasn't pushed himself in quite a while. Pair him with Emily Blunt, pair him with a Safdie brother, A24. There is a lot to be excited about this, and I hope this movie comes out because I am quite intrigued to see what The Rock has cooking. If this movie doesn't actually come out this year, then I have another film starring a WWE actor that is for sure coming out this year. Dave Bautista is one of our best actors, and he has an action comedy movie, The Killer's Game. Let me give you the premise of this. He essentially hires a group of hitmen or a ton of hitmen to kill him because he learns that he has terminal cancer, only to learn that it was actually a false diagnosis. He is not actually sick, but he can't call off the hit, and they're coming for him, and now he's got to stop them. It's done by the team that did John Wick. I don't know if it's actually the director or just like some random cinematographer. The studios just love saying we have some of the makers of John Wick in there, and then it's like just some like third string cinematographer behind the lens. Regardless, Dave Bautista doing this level of action with this type of tone, with this type of story, just looks like a ton of fun, and I am all the way in. Coming in at number 9, let's go back to 1975, I think is the year, and let's talk Saturday Night. There's so much to like about this film from the trailer alone. There's a kinetic energy brought about by this story. You got a lot of fun young actors in this movie. Besides Gabriel LaBelle, you also have Rachel Sennett, one of my favorites. You've also got Dylan O'Brien playing Dan Aykroyd. You got, Corey Michael Smith playing Chevy Chase, and from the casting of that trailer, looks incredible in that role. Then you just got Willem Dafoe. You got J.K. Simmons in this movie. Cooper Hoffman's in this movie from Licorice Pizza fame. I just like everything that I'm seeing from this movie thus far, and I really hope it's good and a great celebration of 50 years of Saturday Night Live. Coming in at number 8, I can't say I know much about this story. However, I know this film premiered at the 2023 Toronto International Film Festival. It's been waiting for a year. I heard rave things about it when it premiered at the festival. I've been really excited to see what Netflix has for Anna Kendrick's directorial debut, Woman of the Hour. I know this involves some 1970s. I believe it's a serial killer who goes on a dating show. I'm just fascinated by what this movie is going to be, and I've heard Anna Kendrick knocks it out of the park, and I'm a big fan of Anna Kendrick. I'm curious to see what she's going to do. I think she has such a sharpness, a humor to her that comes out, especially in interviews, but I'm really like her thus far, and I always find it really fun when an actress you wouldn't expect takes the leap, becomes a director, tells a story like this, and when it has these types of reviews on it, I'm curious to see where it goes, and that's why Woman of the Hour is coming in at number 8. Coming in at number 7, this is a movie that premiered earlier this year at the Cannes Film Festival, and it is the sensation. It was the big film coming out of it. Sean Baker already doing the Florida Project, already having Red Rocket under his belt. Well, he's back, and he might be in the driver's seat for Best Picture, Best Director, all of those awards. It is Anora. I saw this trailer right before I saw Longlegs, And my God, this trailer looks good. It looks like a blend of Pretty Woman mixed with what Sean Baker does so well in telling modern stories. I think of a movie like Red Rocket. Just what he is able to achieve, given this premise, given this tone, given the lighting of this movie. The trailer just looks absolutely beautiful. And the reviews of it, you just have this type of rave reviews coming out. I'm curious to see what Anora has in store. Coming in at number 6, this was a movie I was very skeptical about. And then I saw the trailer, did a trailer reaction on this channel, and was like, okay, Timothée Chalamet, you've proven me wrong so far. Let's see if you can actually carry it out in a feature-length film. A Complete Unknown, where Timothée Chalamet plays Bob Dylan when Bob Dylan goes electric. That's a movie made for me. Bob Dylan's one of my favorite artists. I've seen him twice in concert. Both times he didn't sound very good, but he was also 80, so I give him the pass. It's just, this is a source material that I really want to see. And Bob Dylan, James Mangold, who did the Johnny Cash movie, Walk the Line. There's a lot to like about it. And Timothée Chalamet is one of our best actors. And the fact that I had my doubts about him playing Dylan, and then I saw that trailer and I'm like, you know what? I don't really have those doubts anymore. I think he's actually going to do quite a good job. Coming in at number 5, I'm actually surprised I have this film as high as I do, considering I was a little bit lukewarm on the last film. I think the first film was a little overrated, but the performance at the center done by Joaquin Phoenix was worth the praise. Well, now I have Joker Folie à Deux this high yet again. And I don't know, maybe like I've always struggled with Todd Phillips's films. I don't think he is the best of directors out there. However, this movie looks beautiful. The lighting of this movie, the cinematography, the score of this movie, like all of that is working in effect. And I think Lady Gaga is one of our best actresses. And to see her playing Harley Quinn opposite Joaquin Phoenix, I'm actually just excited to experience this movie. It could be garbage. It could have all the same problems that I cast onto the first Joker film in 2019. And yet there is still just a beauty and elegance that is done from the technical level, that there's an appreciation that I will probably have with this film, especially given the performances. May I still have issues with Todd Phillips as a director and storyteller? Absolutely. Do I like that this film seems to be even more experimental, that it is playing with the musical genre? I am at least curious to see what he can achieve with this film. And from the trailers I've seen, I'm willing to give him a little bit of a benefit of the doubt here. Coming in at number 4, just talk about a guy who's actually the complete opposite of Todd Phillips for me. This is a director that I have loved everything that he's done thus far. I think all of his films are, at the very least, extremely interesting, and at the very best, just straight up masterpieces. This is Robert Eggers coming back with Nosferatu, based on the vampire from the German cinema movement of the 1920s. Nosferatu just, it looks beautiful. This Robert Eggers knows how to tell genre stories, and he knows how to direct this style of movie with this cast, with this team behind him, with just his sensibilities directing a Nosferatu movie. What is there not to be excited about? Coming in at number 3, there's a lot of things that I just mentioned. You know how I said there's a lot of things to be excited about for Nosferatu? Well, number 3, there's definitely a lot of things to worry about. Mainly the fact that this movie cannot have 24 hours of good press. It's bad headline after bad headline after bad headline from Megalopolis. Francis Ford Coppola, just please stop talking. Please stop just making this film harder to root for. I'm so curious. I've been wanting to see this movie forever. Megalopolis is now here. It is quite literally less than a month away. I'm going to be seeing this movie mid-September, and I just hope this movie is great. It has some of my favorite actors, especially Adam Driver. There has been such a polarizing reaction towards this movie and so much hate towards it already. And like I said, bad headlines out the wazoo. And yet, from what I've heard, from everything that's divisive about this movie, it feels like a movie that I might not like. In fact, this movie might be one that I actually hate, but it still sounds exciting and fresh and new and just risky. I want to see a movie like that takes those bold of chances and actually feels like it is trying to do something new in cinema. That's excited. And Francis Ford Coppola, when you make The Godfather, when you make The Godfather Part 2, when you make Apocalypse Now, when you make all those films, you get a little bit of a pass in terms of me trusting you as a director and storyteller. even if the past 20, 30 years, not so great. Coming in at number 2, what is there to say except the fact that Ridley Scott's returning to the Gladiator franchise with Gladiator 2? I guess it's to say it is now a franchise. Denzel Washington, Paul Mescal, Pedro Pascal, all involved in this movie. Yes. Give it to me. I can't wait for this movie. Did I mention Joseph Quinn's also in this movie? Connie Nielsen's also in this movie. Like, just inject it straight into my veins. This trailer looks incredible. I did not care about the fact that they used a Jay-Z, Kanye West, No Church in the Wild. I thought it worked really well in the trailer. I think this movie looks awesome. Cannot wait to see it. And then coming in at number 1, the reason I have this movie so high is because, simply put, when I was a child, when I was growing up, the first director I remember learning about, becoming obsessed with, was Tim Burton, and he is now making a sequel to the film that I deem the best in his career. So I am excited to see what Beetlejuice has in store. One, you always have the Michael Keaton in it, and Michael Keaton can just only deliver good performances. I think it's like legally required by him that he can give nothing less than a great performance in movies, and he always hits it. He is such a great actor. Returning to this role, excited to see what he has. The way he's talked about this movie, you can tell that he has quite a clear passion for this character, for returning to this world of Beetlejuice. On top of that, I've had my struggles with Tim Burton falling for the muse of Johnny Depp. It never really worked for me after a few films. Basically, by the mid-2000s, it completely wore out its course, and I'm excited to see him now moving to Jenna Ortega, someone who actually fits so well in the mold of Tim Burton. So excited to see this movie. The emphasis on practical effects, this world coming back. I want to see this movie, and I hope it's great. So those are my 24 most anticipated films of the fall movie season 2024. Let me know what I missed. Let me know what I forgot. Let me know what I got wrong on this list. Always open to hear it. Thank you all for watching. If you like this video, make sure to like and subscribe for more. My name is Ben Friedman. Take care. Bye-bye.